Imagine the setting. It is 7:42 a.m. on May 27, 1940. A cold fog blankets the French village of L'Épinay. 5 German soldiers of the mighty Wehrmacht cautiously advance through a ruined stone wall. They are confident. Why wouldn't they be? Hitler's war machine crushed Poland in 36 days. Now their panzer tanks are ripping through France at a speed of 40 miles a day. The British Expeditionary Force, BEF, is fleeing in panic toward the sea of Dunkirk, throwing away weapons to run faster. Collapse is inevitable. But hiding behind that stone wall is not a trembling soldier. It is Captain Jack Churchill, 33 years old. A man whom military history would later have to scratch its head over in disbelief. Jack is not holding a Lee Enfield rifle, he's not holding a Bren machine gun. In his hands is an English longbow nearly 2 meters tall, made of yew wood, with a draw weight of up to 70 pounds, a weapon belonging to the year 1415, not 1940. Jack Churchill is not just an officer, he is an archer who once represented Britain at the World Championships in Oslo. He can shoot through a playing card at a distance of 50 meters. And more importantly, he's crazy enough to believe that he can kill a modern German soldier before the man even hears a gunshot. The German squad moves closer, 30 meters. Jack can see the leading sergeant, eyes constantly scanning for machine gun muzzles or grenades. He is searching for the threats of the 20th century. He never once considers the need to be wary of an arrow. Jack draws the bowstring taut. The yew wood creaks under immense pressure. He holds his breath, anchors his hand at the familiar spot by his cheek. Whoosh! The arrow slices through the air in deadly silence. The German sergeant collapses instantly, the arrow buried deep in his chest. He dies without understanding what just happened. It is the first and only German life in World War II to be taken by a longbow. A surreal moment, loud, brutal modern warfare defeated by the cold silence of the Middle Ages. Jack Churchill rises and signals the attack. He has proven something the generals in London have forgotten. Technology may change, but fear does not. But who is Jack Churchill? The British Army truly does not know what to do with this man. A graduate of the prestigious Sandhurst Military Academy in 1926, Jack once served in Burma, where he rode a large displacement motorcycle across the country and once crashed into a water buffalo. He loathed peacetime military life so much that he resigned in 1936 to become a newspaper editor, even taking minor roles in films simply so he could shoot arrows and play the bagpipes. When war broke out in 1939, Jack returned immediately, but he returned in his own way. While other officers worried about logistics and artillery firepower, Jack brought 3 things to the battlefield: his longbow, a broad-bladed Scottish claymore sword, the kind his ancestors used to cut down cavalry, and a set of bagpipes. He declared a line that would become legendary: any officer who goes into battle without his sword is improperly dressed. His comrades thought he was mad. His superiors thought he was a burden. But Jack understood psychological warfare better than anyone. He knew an MG-42 machine gun could fire 1,200 rounds per minute, but it was only a machine. A madman charging out of the fog, sword gleaming, screaming a battle cry. That is pure terror. It freezes the enemy's brain for a few seconds. And in war, 1 second is the line between life and death. After the retreat at Dunkirk, where most British soldiers returned in humiliation, stripped of all their equipment, Jack Churchill stepped off the ship with his sword, bow and bagpipes intact. He did not see it as a defeat. He saw it as a warm-up. Immediately, he volunteered for a newly formed top-secret unit, the Commandos. The Commandos' mission was suicide. Raid occupied German territory, sabotage and withdraw. The expected casualty rate was catastrophic. Jack smiled and asked for permission to bring his sword. The unit agreed. In December 1941, Operation Archery targeting the island of Vagsøy in Norway began. The objective was to neutralize German coastal artillery. As the landing craft slammed into the rocky shore under heavy artillery fire, the other soldiers crouched low on the deck, praying for their lives. But not Jack Churchill. He stood tall at the bow of the boat, upright like a statue cast in bronze, ignoring the bullets whizzing past his ears. In his hands were the bagpipes, and the moment the ramp dropped, amid the deafening explosions of bombs and shells, the shrill sound of Scottish bagpipes rang out with the tune, March of the Cameron Men. Try to put yourself in the position of a German soldier in a bunker. You're expecting British troops to land with rifles and grenades. Instead, you see an officer calmly walking through gunfire, playing a strange kind of music, then tossing the pipes aside, drawing a massive sword and charging straight at you like a demon stepping out of hell. Confusion engulfs the German forces at Vagsoy. They do not know how to react to a modern-day night. The battle ends swiftly. Jack leads the commandos, destroying bunker after bunker. He swings his sword, commands, and fights with the ferocity of a reborn Viking warrior. The post-battle report notes that the island is captured, the guns destroyed, and Jack Churchill returns unscathed, with only blood on his sword. But this is only the beginning. The reputation of Mad Jack begins to spread across Europe. Hitler flies into a rage over the raid, and German soldiers start whispering about an immortal Scottish devil. And Jack Churchill is about to take his madness to a new level on the Italian battlefield, where he will do the unthinkable. Capture 42 German soldiers with nothing but a sword. In the summer of 1943, the legend of Jack Churchill moved from the icy islands of northern Europe to the scorching heat of Italy. At Salerno, the chaos of war reached its peak. German forces, armed to the teeth with Tiger tanks and mortars, had turned the town of Pigoletti into an impregnable fortress. But they were about to face a tactic never found in any modern military textbook: the fear of the dark. On a pitch-black night in September, while other units were digging trenches and fortifying their positions, Jack Churchill decided to take a walk. He carried only a corporal named Ruffle and, of course, his loyal claymore sword. His target was a German mortar position that was pounding the Allied lines. They moved like feral cats through the darkness. Jack spotted the red glow of a cigarette tip, the sign of a careless sentry. Instead of firing a shot, Jack slipped forward. He emerged from the night, the blade pressed against the German soldier's throat before the man could scream. Imagine that soldier's terror. In the age of machine guns, he is captured by a cold steel sword. Jack gave the order, Hände hoch, hands up. With an almost chilling calmness, Jack used that very prisoner as a living shield to advance to the next foxhole. Again and again he repeated the process. Close in, press the blade, force surrender. Silence and darkness were his greatest allies. The German soldiers, already exhausted and on edge, completely collapsed mentally as they watched their comrades surrender one by one to a ghost. The next morning, the Allied troops could not believe their eyes. Jack Churchill and Corporal Ruffle returned to camp, and marching in front of them was a long line of 42 German prisoners, along with all their confiscated weapons. Jack had neutralized an entire enemy platoon using nothing but a sword and extreme audacity. He tossed the blood-stained sword onto the desk and asked for breakfast. It was the pinnacle of psychological warfare. But a soldier's luck cannot last forever. In 1944, Jack was sent to Yugoslavia to support Tito's partisans. During the operation to capture the island of Brac, everything went wrong from the start. The local partisans hesitated and refused to advance, leaving Jack and his small group of commandos isolated under German mortar fire on a hilltop. Ammunition ran out. Comrades fell one by one. Jack Churchill, now alone on the burning hilltop, knew the end had come. He did not run. He did the only thing a Jack Churchill would do. He pulled out his bagpipes, stood up amid the gunfire, and began to play the mournful tune, Will Ya No Come Back Again? The wailing pipes rang out like a challenge to death itself. The German soldiers were stunned. They had never seen anything like it. But war has no room for romance. A grenade exploded beside Jack, blasting him into unconsciousness. When he awoke, he was a prisoner. The Germans believed he was related to Prime Minister Winston Churchill, which he was not. So they sent him directly to the infamous Sachsenhausen concentration camp. There, among the gaunt and broken political prisoners, Jack's spirit was never broken. He organized tunnel digging, escaped, and walked hundreds of kilometers toward the Baltic Sea before being recaptured. In April 1945, as Nazi Germany collapsed, Jack exploited the chaos to escape for a second time. He walked 150 kilometers across the Alps, crossed into Italy with an injured leg, no food, and no weapons. When he encountered an American reconnaissance unit, they nearly shot him, mistaking him for a deranged vagrant. But after just a few words, the commanding presence of a royal officer returned. He had survived hell and come back alive. Yet the greatest tragedy of Jack Churchill's life was not being captured, but the fact that the war ended too soon. After being rescued, Jack immediately requested transfer to the Pacific Theater to fight the Japanese. He was eager to test his sword against the samurai, but while he was on his way to India, the United States dropped 2 atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Japan surrendered. The war was over. While the world celebrated peace, Jack Churchill sat in silence and uttered a bitter line that became legendary. If it hadn't been for those damn Yankees, we could have kept this war going for another 10 years. It was not bloodlust. It was the sigh of a warrior born in the wrong century, a man who only felt truly alive when facing death. Peacetime was unbearable boredom for Jack, but a man like him never sits still. He sought new adventures. At the age of 50, he became the first person in Britain to build a surfboard and ride the mile-long tidal wave on the River Severn. The sight of a retired colonel surfing down an English river left locals staring in disbelief, much like German soldiers once stared at him on the beaches of Norway. And even in the smallest things, he was different. Every day on his commute home by train, as the train passed his garden, Jack would open the window and throw his briefcase outside. Passengers thought he was insane. In reality, he simply did not want to carry that heavy case from the station back home. He calculated the landing point down to the exact meter, the skill of a master archer still very much intact. Jack Churchill died in 1996 at the age of 89. He passed away peacefully at home, far removed from the blood-soaked battlefields where he had once reigned. The life of Mad Jack Churchill leaves us with a profound lesson. In a world increasingly dependent on technology and machines, the human spirit and will remain the greatest weapons of all. He is living proof that a single individual, with enough courage and a touch of madness, can write legends that make history itself bow in respect. If the story of this sword-wielding soldier, amid a storm of bullets, inspired you, please like and share. Thank you for listening to the story of the last warrior of the Middle Ages.